Hello and welcome to the Ripple Effect. I am Selena. Today's topic, I wanted to talk about the misconception that is in the church about being married being the ultimate goal. So I can only speak about this from personal perspective and how I felt like the church that I was in, or even the church that I have been in, are making it seem or appear that relationships goal is the ultimate thing. Like God cannot use you unless you are married. So a lot of the churches, well, I'll just mention, I'm probably not gonna say the church's name. However, um, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. If the people in the church feelings get hurt, then God's trying to give them a revelation. So the previous church I used to belong to, I was in it for a number of years, over 20 years. And like I said, I ended up being a single mother in the church, which for me was very unpleasant. Very unpleasant. I was the only one who was a single mother in the church. There was a lot of married people, and then there was an age gap and a lot of older people, senior citizens. So in the church, they have this thing called, I believe it's a marriage retreat. They typically have it every single year without fail. And it's always talked about, going away to wherever the church or the organization has destined for them to go. But there's never anything designated for the single people within the church. I believe that there is this stigma attached to people that are single in the church, or I'll say it like this: I feel that encouraging single people or talking about single people, somehow it just blends in with fornication. I don't know. That's just the reception that I always received. So I'm a huge advocate for single mothers. And in the church that I was in, I was always trying to advocate for that. Like I said, I owned a single mother's newspaper probably a decade ago. Yeah, probably so. 2006. So that's not a decade. Forgive the math. So I wanted to hand them out in church and talk about it and encourage other people who may come to the church who are new, who may be single mothers, that they have someone here, a confidant, someone who knows what they're going through and can help them navigate through the trials and tribulations of life. And it was so not supported. People wouldn't ask about it. They didn't want to read it, or you get this knowledge like, yeah, sure, I'll read your article or whatever. But I knew people who had been married 20 years or 10 years, they could have cared less. And they made it very apparent that they did not care. I have this YouTube channel now just because I want to let it be known that it's okay. You don't have to be married. Matter of fact, as Paul states in the New Testament, he says, I'd rather you are like me, which is single. That's what he says. Because he talks about how when you are married, your alignment, your responsibilities are to your spouse. And when you are single, how it is to God first. And now, don't get confused. While you're married, your responsibilities should be to God as well. However, when you are single, you go when you want to go. You spend the money you want to spend. You do and choose to do whatever you want to do. But when you are married, those things change. Let's just let it be known. Those things change. And in the church, it makes it seem like, if you're single, God cannot use you. Like there's this marriage thing, there's this marriage conference, there's a lot of couples things that we do. And for me, it was very hard to navigate within church because I was always the third wheel or the fifth wheel, and I had a young child. So the people who were in the church, they didn't have children who were my age, and if they did, they were married, and it was just like an uncomfortable situation. I didn't particularly like it. Being around and being the only single person in the meeting or whatever, church, what have you, just being that extra person, it was very uncomfortable because there was not anyone who I felt who was like-minded. And I encourage the church, or even if you are watching and you're in a church and you're single, to be an advocate for other single people. I don't have this to say that I want us out there to have a singles club and a singles group so we could go around to other churches meeting other singles so there can be this, I don't know, dating in the church. That is not what this channel is about. This channel is about letting you know that you are full and complete without another person being there, regardless of whether you're in the church or out. And I needed people to know that that's not something that's necessary for God to use you. And in my church, let me tell you something. If they're watching this or if somebody tells them, they're probably going to be upset, but I don't care. So I had talked about, most people who are in the church know that I'm single. Okay. Whew. Oh my goodness. So, in the midst of that, and just talking about how it's hard to have friendships in the church without, um, with other people who are in the church who are not married, just other single people, because it's not a lot of single people in the previous church that I attended and in the one I am now. And there were married men who came up to me and said, like, oh, I can't necessarily be your friend because I'm married, and I don't want to upset my wife. Like, tú es estúpido. Like, I know that. Like, I don't want to be your friend either. Trust and believe it. You lucky your wife your friend, because I'm not understanding why you felt it necessary to introduce yourself to me and you're married. Like, I don't understand that. Now, if it was a couple, I have had couples come up to me, introduce themselves, and be friendly, and I have no problem with that, no qualms, no issues. But as a married man, I don't understand why you felt it necessary to tell me that you can't be my friend because you're married. I already knew that. This is not new knowledge. But I was just more like, ew. Like, okay, and like, I don't want to be your friend. I was the purpose for my ministry and what I was talking about, trying to be an advocate in the church, is to be with other like-minded people. Like-minded meaning other singles, not married men looking for friends. So I just want you to know that you don't have to feel like you're less than, that there's something missing because you are single. Like, for me, I enjoy my single life. I enjoy the life God has blessed me with. I found my purpose and my calling, and for me, I can live and thrive through that. And yes, it's nice if you want to have a companionship and you desire to be married. There's nothing wrong with that. I believe God has promised, as a matter of fact, in Scripture, to give us the desires of our hearts. So if that's something you desire, there's nothing wrong with that. But I encourage you to pray about it. Pray about it so that you're not operating from a place of desperation or a place of just wanting to be first in line in the side chick line. So, as always, ladies, don't forget to join the OAC Nation and become an overcomer in confidence. And thank you so much for watching.